Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are, and welcome to another NerdTube Star Trek episode review. I am your host, Major Rage, but it wouldn't be one of our Trek reviews without my Trekkies in arms, my fellow Starfleet officers. Lieutenant Junior Grade Cheeto to my right. How are you this evening?
Baseball! Baseball,
Baseball!
baseball, baseball!
I knew you.
Baseball!
I was excited to see what you think about this episode, being our DS9 stan. We have Rom and Lita this week. It's good to see you. Below we have Cadet Zam. You're probably higher ranked than I am. Why do you have yourself listed as Cadet? How are
Because
you?
I'm because unlike a lot of people who I know in the Star Trek world, I'm not up my own ass. I'm not a admiral. I'm not a fucking commodore. I'm not a fucking captain. I just like being a fucking cadet, and I'm all fucking good with that.
No, he
You know what I
got
mean?
him. Don't let him lie to you. He got himself demoted several times by trying to shove too many cucumbers up his ass.
No, it's for
Well,
speaking his mind.
yeah.
He popped his mouth off to an admiral, told him exactly what he thought, and he got busted down. He's
Yeah,
Nerdtube's own
exactly.
Trip Tucker. So we're here this week talking about Lower Deck Season 4, Episode 6, Parth Ferengi's Heart Place. A fun episode this week where, while the captain is helping negotiate Ferenginar's admission into the Federation, our four Lieutenant Junior grades go down to the surface on tour guide duty. Mariner self-sabotages herself. Boimler uncharacteristically kind of lets loose, goofing off, and Tindy and Rutherford pretend to be newlyweds. We're going to start with some general thoughts.
Mariner herself sabotages herself. Shock, fucking horror.
Right? So out of character. But I think
Before we move to general thoughts,
we've got some
we'll
comments.
we'll do some comments. But
yeah.
All right. Daniel Vance, of course, shares again the very short treks: walk, don't run. So yeah, I got to get caught up on the short.
I'm not caught up on any. I'm really sorry about that.
We plan on when they're all out doing a
Bitchin'.
discussion on them. But yeah, I mean, we got to get caught up with. I don't even know how many more are left. I'd have to look. And Daniel Vance says, and now the host with the most, the award-winning Major Rage. I don't know, his months are coming to a close here. Golden Glasses coming up in December.
It's time for the reign of a new king coming up. But we're excited. I'm always glad to see you, Daniel Vance. But thanks for being here tonight, boss. I'm excited to hear what you thought.
And some other guys, which is me and Zam. And he also says, I'm the guy Janeway keeps locked up somewhere in the lower decks, which Janeway does keep all of her guys locked up in the lower decks.
Yep, she pulled a Michael Sullivan. She deleted the wife.
That's right.
Abducted Daniel Vance. So I was pretty happy with this week's episode. We'll get some general thoughts going. Let's start with you, Zam. What were your general impressions of this week's installment?
Why there were so many fucking Ferengi women wearing clothes, for fuck's sake? Am I missing something?
Yes, you are. At the end of DS9, the Grand Nagus made it so that women can wear clothes.
Oh, fair enough. I can't remember. I'm sorry.
Was it the end, or was it was like towards the end?
It was the final season.
Yeah, it was around the final season, like one of the final seasons. But yeah, no, they made it that women can wear
And
clothes.
basically,
They can own businesses. Yeah, they can own businesses. They can make profit. Like all those things were things they couldn't do prior to the Grand Nagus hooking up with Quark and Rom's Moogie.
The Ferengi planet. Ferengi planet is basically fucking Las Vegas.
Pretty much.
I want to go to a Ferengi library. I've always been known for loving libraries, but I think I could take that's the next.
Yeah, but you could find fucking craps tables there because they had loads of fucking books.
Library.
Yeah, like books, and I'm thinking, okay, no fucking gambling in there. Fair enough.
So that aside, that bugging you aside, were you entertained this week, Zam?
As I would be watching it. I think some things can be a little bit predictable at times. Sometimes with the humor, you kind of know where certain things are going. A little bit here and there. Obviously, Boimler would end up binging. all that Ferengi television, which is fair enough. And I'm kind of glad that Boimler was kept on the back burner this week
Same.
for other people. But I do feel like this Mariner self-reflecting on being a rebel scene is being done to death.
Mm-hmm.
I really do think that, like, come on, how much more self-reflection do you need? Like, I really feel like she's had self-reflection so many fucking times now that I'm fed up of it. Like, this needs to end.
Yeah,
Like,
they need to. They
you
need
don't
to.
need this self-sabotage shit. It needs to end. It really
Yeah,
does.
put that to rest with this season. Have that part of her character arc done, and let her move on and grow up ostensibly, like her friend was admonishing her to do later on in the episode. Um. Okay, so
Yeah.
Cheeto, what did you think about this episode?
I thought it was great. I mean, again, kind of like last week. I don't want to say it was your standard run of the mill episode, but it was just a good episode of Lower Decks. I mean, I'm still not a fan of the whole Tindy Rutherford romance that people are kind of pushing. I don't want that. I really don't. I don't want any romance between the four of them. I don't mind these guys getting into romantic relationships, kind of like Mariner did in season 2 with what's her face, the Andorian. I don't mind them getting in relationships. I just don't want it to be like Friends, where it's like they're getting in relationships with one another.
They made fun of that very sort of sitcom trope this episode with
Yeah, and
the will they won't they, and
and I'm
they're
hoping that
doing
this is
that.
them basically solidifying. Look, we're not doing this, guys. Like, we're going to make fun of it, but we are not going to do it. But my fear is that
Yeah.
towards the end of the season, they're kind of working it up to them actually becoming a couple or whatever.
Yeah,
And I'm just like,
I hope a positive response to this episode doesn't think. I hope they're not trying to treat us like a focus group right now for that
yeah.
aspect of the show.
I really don't want that. As I said, I don't mind them getting in relationships, but I don't want them with each other. I want them to be
It's
separated.
just it's how they done it as well. Like, yeah, there were moments where you thought, okay, this could be the beginning of something, but then the way they ended it with them being like all over each other in that little shaft area, it kind of made me realize, you know what, they're not going to do anything with this.
Well, and that's
You know
what
what I
I'm
mean?
hoping. I'm
They,
Yeah.
hoping they're
yeah,
they're saying, yeah, guys,
yeah,
we're not going to do anything with this. We're actually making fun of the fact that you all think that this is going to happen, but we really are. This is not going to happen.
yeah.
So, but I mean, it was fun watching them stumble over, whatever, like where they're just like, wow, we are really attractive people, actually, huh? Like them, and I love how it's just like out of nowhere, like it just didn't even occur to them until just that very moment. Wow, you look really nice. Your legs are really long and nice. That's like me.
I
Like,
mean, Tindies and Orion. I mean, they just naturally hot in the first place.
yeah, I know, right?
If yeah, it comes with being that race. If you're a woman, yeah,
You
you
guys
just
have the
beautiful.
green fever.
Yeah. So watching too much She-Hulk, that's why.
Talk about
Getting.
smashing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so I've generally favorable impressions of this episode on my end too. I'm thinking we could break it down by the plot runners, and then have kind of an honorable mentions section at the end where we talk about any jokes or gags or references we caught that we didn't kind of work their way into talking about the plot hooks themselves. But before we get into that, we had more added on to our season long plot arc this week, and we saw some more of the mystery ship. And, it ended up blowing up the Ferengi vessel, but something important, I feel like, was that the one Ferengi chief was expecting the ship.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't expect to get destroyed, but he was expecting the ship.
I don't think they're getting destroyed. Is there debris? I can't remember. I'd have to go back and look.
There,
I think they're getting transported somewhere. I think their whole ship. I think that's a transporter beam, not a like
there's
phaser
been,
beam.
That's a good
I'm pretty
call.
sure there's been debris, but
Has there been debris?
They could have been
It could be
beaming
the
off.
ship, and yeah,
They could be beaming the people off before they destroy the ships
And
for
maybe.
sure. But
I just
there's some sort of evidence where people know, Beta Z intelligence knows, the Rom knows enough to be approaching the Federation to gain access to their resources to deal with this threat, since their trading lanes are being encroached upon, or trades being disrupted. I should say. But
Just going to jump in here. It says, Dana Vance says, when Tendi and Rutherford are out at dinner, there's a naked Ferengi female sitting behind them with a burger the whole time.
Oh, I missed it.
Didn't even notice it.
I did. See, this is why it's so great that Daniel Vance is here. He's so observant.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, what if there's one race I could think of in Star Trek that we know, like, probably the least amount still, other than the one that they're handling on Strange New Worlds, which is the Gorn. What if there's a Breen connection?
I don't think so. I don't.
You don't think so, Cheeto?
I mean, okay, so it kind of does go along with the teleporting thing, because remember, no, it wasn't the Breen. That was the Tholians. Never mind. Sorry, I'm getting my races, my mostly unknown aliens mixed up. I don't know about the Breen. I mean, I don't even know if the ship looks remotely like. And I mean, yes, obviously, it doesn't need to look like a Breen vessel to, but I don't know. I'm going back and forth on it.
Yeah, I agree with Cheetah.
Okay.
I mean, the Breen is just so out of left field. I'm not feeling that at all.
That was like the one thing that one straw I could grasp at to be a guess at all, and I just wanted to run that by you guys real quick.
I got it. All right, you guys ready? So the changelings come back, and they're working with the Borg. Okay, just go with me here. Just go with me here, and and so there's this whole subplot about Worf being like a daddy and stuff like that, and it's an amazing season of television. I can already tell you right
now. They've overused the changeling so much lately, and the Borg so much lately, that I could see it, and I would rage.
I don't know if I'd say they've overused them, but I wouldn't want it to be the changelings again. They just used them in Picard. So now the Borg have been overused a lot.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I mean,
sure.
do I want it to actually be the changelings? No, but I mean, I don't think they've been overused per se.
No, that was misspeaking on my part, but we definitely wouldn't want to see them again.
Yeah, no, not for a while.
Not for a while.
At least not in the antagonist role. You know what I mean? Like
them, seeing some sort of, protagonist or interaction with them, that could be cool. But
yeah, because technically they still have a treaty with the Dominion, because those changelings were not a part of the Dominion. I don't believe.
No,
the Dominion and the Federation still have a peace, not a peace treaty, not just a non-aggression pact. Anyway, go ahead, Mage. I'm sorry, tangent.
No, so let's do the order of the captain and the Rom plot line. Then we can do Tendi and Rutherford. That's like the big one, and then the Mariner. And since we don't like that, we'll do it next to last. And just the Boimler thing just being as brief as it was, as Zam said, him being on the back burner, can do that last. And like on that point, I like that they're letting some of the other characters shine more that aren't Mariner, and especially aren't Boimler, because it very easily could have just become their show.
A couple of things. I don't know how far I'm jumping ahead, but regarding the Admiral and Freeman, I gave the Admiral too much credit, actually, because him being an Admiral, I really thought he was like playing like he was bluffing the Ferengi the whole time. And I thought maybe Freeman might have underestimated how smart the Admiral was. That really wasn't the case. Unfortunately, right. It was Freeman who saved the day,
which is out of the ordinary. And if it played out like it typically does on lower decks, then you would have absolutely been right. But This was a case of an inept admiral and the captain saving the day.
Ooh.
Which is weird.
Admiral.
Yeah, for lower
Weird.
decks.
She was unusually competent, like incredibly on point with being competent, and
Well,
just
I think there are times when you know what you're good at, and I think having to deal with having a daughter like Mariner Freeman is very good at dealing with bullshit artists. You know what I mean? So and there's no better, bigger bullshit artist than fucking the Ferengis.
Yeah,
So
right.
true.
Well, but before I bring that up, but you bring up a good
hello,
point.
Mr.
But
System.
where do you think Mariner gets it from though? I don't think she gets it from her dad. I think she gets it from her mom. So I think her mom is a better bullshit artist than we give her credit for. But I do believe that like this was really showing off how stupid the Admiral is in this episode. You know what I mean? Like I think they made this like it's almost like they sent this Admiral to screw things up with the Ferengi for some specific purpose. You know, it's like sending Tony Stark to go talk to General Ross about the Hulk. You know, like the consultant.
Yeah, they would have been better off sending someone like Janeway. If you want to send an admiral, throw in Janeway or maybe Picard. You know, as two
Patrick
admirals
Stewart
who
and Kate
know how
Mulgrew
to.
could lend their voices.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Especially,
mind. I think Patrick Stewart. Yeah,
especially Patrick Stewart. Their connection with the Ferengi. I mean, think about it. Like the whole Stargazer first contact with the what's it called? The Ferengi, right? With the Stargazer, because that was, I think, their first contact. I know
and
there's the
yeah, and
episode of
once
the
again, like
Enterprise or of Enterprise, but I think that was not technically first contact.
I know. Obviously, Janeway dealt with the Ferengi when you had those Ferengis in Delta Quadrant space, basically living it up and being treated like kings. And obviously, they were doing a grift the whole time. But she's obviously a very wedded member of Starfleet, so dealing with the Ferengis would be no problem for her.
No, I think that one instance with the Ferengi does not give her. I think Picard's has way more experience with the Ferengi. I mean, even Cisco has had
No,
more
I give you that.
experience
I give you
with the
that.
Ferengi. So
I give
hold on,
you that. I'm just saying
gotta
that.
step away for a
I
minute.
just,
So I'll be right
I
back.
just, I give you that. I just thinking that Janeway herself would still be able to deal with them regardless. It's not like she's not aware of them. That's for sure.
Right.
Anyway, let's keep going, Mage.
Yeah. The other aspect of this plot and aspect of this episode that I wanted to touch on was, it becomes obvious later on that it's part of the ruse, but how out of character Rom and Lita were acting, and it didn't sit well. God damn it.
Really,
It did.
I didn't know how to take it.
I
I didn't know
didn't
how to take
either.
it myself.
Wasn't sure if if I was like, there's no way they're messing up their characters, but I didn't like put two and two together of what was going on. I didn't make that like kind of guess.
Rom had has a massive evolution on Star Trek. Him and
Yes,
his
he
son.
did, and it was the
And like
characterization was very much like the first season Rom instead of the guy that we saw
yeah,
who started a union, who would outsmart his brother at times, and so it was.
yeah.
I was like, there's no way they're just gonna make an easy, "Oh, look, he's dumb" joke at the expense of one of the most beloved characters in the franchise, especially with the core demographic of Lower Decks. It just, so I'm glad that it was part of a ruse. And
Is it Lita? The name of that lady? I forgot now because she was only there because she was fucking gorgeous, that actress. But
But that's the thing. DS9 took
Victorian.
characters like that and turned them into absolute freaking gold. Like Lita was just supposed to be in one episode, and then she turned out to be like this sub main character by the end. Nog was only supposed to be in a handful of episodes. turned out to be one of the mainstay characters, one of the best characters on DS9.
No,
DS9 had such a good character development for people.
so what, you were the first person I
Yeah.
thought of when it was seemed to me. I was telling Sam that it didn't sit well with me how out of character Rom and Lita were acting, and before the reveal of the ruse and everything. What was your initial response to that, Cheeto?
Oh, I as
Also,
soon as
I never got a chance to really finish my spiel.
Did you
well,
not?
no.
Oh, so
On
sorry. I didn't
no,
let you finish.
but what I was going to say is that because Rom is now the Grand Nagus, is that correct?
Mhm.
Yes.
I think that he had to revert to traditional ways of doing things, obviously putting his own modern spin on it, like a mix of the old and the new, which is what he ended up doing in the end. You know, like he tested the Federation and they passed the test, and then he was willing to sign. So I thought it was kind of like up to where his character is at this particular stage, and his wife being somebody who's married into Ferengi life was just basically following tradition herself. So that's how I looked at it.
No,
Well,
by the end, it was very much on. It was in line with the ROM that we knew by the end of DS9.
yeah.
Um,
And I mean,
Yeah,
I knew they were playing the Admiral. Like as soon as like Rom started to do the baseball thing, and I'm like, okay, it's quirky Rom, whatever. I thought he was being serious, but as soon as Lita started chiming in and they both kind of gave that look to each other, like, "Ha, we got him." That's when I'm like, "Oh, this is a play. This
they
is a
handed him
freaking
the pad, and I finally knew. It's like, oh, okay.
yeah. This
But
is a Lita Rom play right here." So
Cheeto, did you not think that maybe because I got it wrong regarding the Admiral, but I thought maybe there was more to the Admiral than met the eye.
no,
That
I
maybe
thought he
he
was
was
an
playing
idiot from the
them.
get go.
Oh, fair enough. And then you were
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
I gave the Admiral too much credit
yeah, no, you and I mean, I don't blame you for doing that. You know what I
because
mean?
we've
Like,
seen stuff like that before.
yeah, we've seen stuff like that before, but for some reason that just didn't even cross my mind. I was like, oh god, this guy's an idiot. Like, it just didn't. Really quick, a comment that I was going to bring up before I went away for a sec. Daniel Vance says if it's going to be a deep cut race, when we were talking about what race the ship could be, I'd like to see the Vaudoir, a race Voyager awakened who designed the Borg subspace corridor, which I do remember that episode. And it would make sense because the first episode was very, very Voyager heavy.
See, this
So
is what annoyed me because this is why I generally thought the Admiral was playing the Ferengi because he was not listening to Mariner. Also, not Mariner, to Freeman. If in my opinion, a smarter Admiral would listen to his advisors. Like a captain is not an idiot. A captain is a very well-renowned person with a lot of experiences, and they have something to add. So listen to your captain when it comes to these sort of things. And the fact that he didn't made me think that he was playing the Ferengis, and unfortunately he wasn't. So I'm kind of disappointed that he never took any of Freeman's advice. I think that was very bad judgmentship on him being an admiral, in my opinion.
yeah,
yeah, it's
one,
kind of that, like, the corporation is out of touch with the ground level employees type thing, where he's just like, no, I
Yeah,
know
but
what I'm doing, blah blah blah, and
yeah,
he's not listening to the ground level employee who say, no, you're doing this wrong. you know I think that's kind
a
of what it
ground
was
level
about.
employee would be like lieutenant junior grade, not a captain of a starship. You know,
No, because I mean I'm a manager and I feel like I'm kind of like the captain of my ship, of my department, and it's like I'm very aware of what's going on in my. I'm talking about corporate people that are like not in the place, not out in space, not on the ships. You know what I mean? That's the impression I
yeah,
got, as some out of touch admiral who just has no idea what's going on out there in the final frontier.
yeah,
yeah,
fair enough.
right. But we just hit an instance of they need somebody there to be an idiot so they can have this plot line. And
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean it is definitely plotline convenient.
I love how we're wanting to look at it like a normal Trek episode. They're like, what's up with this? It's like, so it hits that comedy, but it's taking it seriously.
No,
It
remember,
plays pretty
guys,
well if we are wanting to overanalyze it.
remember it's canon. It's all canon.
I mean, yeah, Ferenginar is going to be in the Federation.
Well, the applications. I mean, even
And
Bajor filled out the
mail.
application, but Cisco put an end to that. They missed having Lita yell Dabo when the deal was complete, having said it a million times in instances like this, I'm sure. That's what she does in the bedroom with Rom. You know, when she goes, she's like, Dabo!
Do a Trek
Yeah,
version
no
of
boy,
that
no.
one meme. When he would finish, he would say,
And I'm glad they didn't have like Boimler playing on the Dabo tables again, winning all the money. They've already done that on DS9, so they didn't need to do that again.
do we
Yep.
want to talk about the Boimler thing now? Speaking of,
Let's get out of the way. Yeah.
great TV jokes, I thought. I was getting Futurama vibes. It made me think a little bit of the episode where Fry found the anchovies and was super rich, and he just spent days binge watching old 20th century TV. But I thought they did some really good jokes. I would totally watch the Ferengi Dirty Cop Landlord show.
Well,
Like,
I
let's take
found
the
I like
two most hated things in America and make a show about a combination of them.
well, there's this deodorant called Lynx. I think it's also called Axe as well. It's got a different name in certain parts of the world.
Oh God,
And if
that
you
stuff
spray it
is
over your
terrible.
body, all the women come flocking to you. Now it amazes me how that they are able to sell this product like that. Because it's just so the mismarketing is incredible.
I know.
But
I wear it all the time. Women
nevertheless,
are not flocking to me for some unknown reason.
yeah, and yeah, it's always hot women. By the way, it's not just regular women. It's like the most hottest women. But regardless, this guy's drinking
Sluggo cola.
some
Yep.
Sluggo cola. His ears get big.
Lobes get huge.
Yeah, yeah,
That was great.
yeah. That was great.
Listen, I'm sure if you drink Sluggo cola, within hours you can see the difference.
Yeah,
I love it. And I love Blubler.
Boimler.
Like, honestly, this
Oh,
is my
they just
favorite part.
lie.
This is my favorite part of the episode. Truth be told,
That commercial was great. It's like, oh, they can just lie.
he's like, they can just lie to you.
And then later, when they have the product placement in the middle of it, he's like, oh, there's commercials inside it too. This is like mind control.
Did you guys notice
Yeah.
that the stars behind him flickered when he said that though?
Yes, that was a great touch. Oh man. But no, just good jokes, lots of laughs per second while he was on screen while his part was going, but they didn't like drag it on, I felt like. And it was just peppered in just enough to not distract from the other ones and not take enough time away from them where they felt rushed.
They came in, they came out, they came in, they came out with Boimler.
Yeah,
Until they came in at the very end to see that he looks like a crack like he's a crack addict.
Dude, that's him only after 8 hours of binging. Now, granted, I know that like he's not used to it because in the Federation they don't have TV and everything. But I'm sitting there going, he looks like that after 8 hours. I'm like, good
the
God.
average American could binge for 8 days and not look like that.
I know, right?
It reminded me of the episode of Voyager where they go back to 1996, I believe, and like Kes is watching like television, and they're watching. Remember, and they're all watching TV and stuff like that, and they're really hooked into it. Yeah, that's what it reminds. I think they'll maybe paying homage to that a little bit. I'm not sure, but yeah.
I mean, this season seems to be very Voyager homage-y.
Yeah,
definitely. So that, do you guys have anything else to say about that part? Or, I mean, that's basically all
I honestly, it was short and sweet, and it was probably my favorite part of the episode, honestly and truly.
It broke up the slightly more serious bits, and it was peppered in with the timing to where it let the other parts breathe.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought I enjoyed it a lot. Just the way Blumler's mannerisms was just like, oh, they can just lie to you. Like it's just so funny. Like just the matter of fact, and it definitely works.
We are talking Ferengis here, so I was surprised that you were so surprised.
Yeah, I know. Well, but
Anytime,
he's
anytime. Bend over anytime.
yeah, but he was also pretty, and I know it's been 4 years, but even in season one, he was pretty. He remember, isn't he? He thought that the Ferengi were like all evil and stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure he has these misconceptions about Ferengis and everything. Like Ferengis always lie. What are you talking about? Like like from
Yeah, it seemed he was more focused on the experience of like seeing like a commercial for the first time than I think it was a
it
commentary about
was
the
a
nature of Ferengi.
it was a commercial.
Oh, commercial. That's right.
Commercial, yeah.
Commercial.
I like as I said, it was very fleeting and a very small part, but I honestly feel like it was my favorite part of the episode.
No, the best jokes were in that part. Um, then the next funniest part was probably the Rutherford Tindy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
As great jokes, as much as we don't want the thing, that to become a whole thing, the humor played well. Um, Mariner's self-sabotage. Yeah, I think we touched on it a little bit earlier. I think we're all ready for that plot line to be wrapped up. What did you think of? Did you catch that the Ferengi she was hanging out with was the one that she paid off in the first episode to make Boimler feel tough?
You mean the first season?
That was the very first episode, I want to say.
No, that's when they were on the planet with the fuzzy piggy guys, right?
I had no idea, but what I
But
don't
you're
get
right. It
is
is
that
that guy from the first season.
like it's almost like she wants to have a miserable time with this person, even though she's on assignment where you can be drinking in bars for most of the time, which would be probably right down Mariner's alley. So why are you so upset about everything? It just, like I said, the stuff with Mariner today was the first time where I thought to myself, I think everything here is portrayed incorrectly, poorly, and this whole like rebel without a fucking cause shit needs to end. Like we've had too much self reflection on Mariner, and to have it again kind of pisses me off.
Yeah, they're starting to beat a dead horse. She
Yeah,
seemed to have some lucidity about it at the end of the episode, so hopefully she can internalize that and they just give it a nod at the end of the season and put a bow on that, and we can have her character move on to having a different sort of arc, accepting her increasing responsibility.
I just
yeah.
I don't mind Mariner getting into shenanigans, like but you're right. The arc of her self-destructive behavior, it is. They're beating the dead horse there. That horse is dead and buried, and they dug it up and they're beating it again because it's just like, God, like just like as I said, I don't think Mariner's ever really going to change. I think she's going to get into shenanigans no matter what. But that's the point of Mariner and this show is Star Trek shenanigans. It should be called Star Trek shenanigans. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's kind of the point. So it's like I don't mind them like maybe maturing her character a little bit, but still there needs to be shenanigans that that get into. And this whole, as you said, self-reflective, blah blah blah. Why am I so self-destructive? It's like
And so
because
rebellious all the time.
yeah, why am I
Yeah, all
rebel
the
without a cause? Dude, I love the line where it's like with what's his face? Ransom. When he's like trying to be nice and she's just like, why is it so weird when you're nice? He says, because I'm handsome. Total package. And she just gets that look and she's like, I hate you. And I'm like, yes, like shenanigans. That's what we need. But
see
it's like,
this is where I think the real relationship is. Everyone goes on about Tendi and Rutherford.
no,
I
I
think
don't
Ransom
want
and Mariner.
I don't
I think they will look. I think at one point they'll end up sleeping with each other at least. Maybe nothing will come from it, but they will definitely maybe this next season or whatever they'll sleep with each other
I
for
think
sure.
well I think maybe I think you might be right, but I think there will be some kind of like mind wipe type thing planet, like the mind wiping planet in Strange New Worlds. I feel like there'll be some kind of like their memories get erased and then they're put in a place and they fall for each other, like when they have that reboot in their brain and they don't know, and then they get back to and then they make it all weird when they go back to start to back to the Cerritos, because they're just like, we did, but then they got all their memories back, and now they have to live with those consequences. That I can see, but I do not want them to like actively like relationshiply sleep with each other.
Yeah, like I said, I just want them that one particular time, just to do it. That'll be pretty cool.
I just think it needs to be.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be some kind of, again, shenanigan. Like it needs to be some kind of episode shenanigan where yes, like, or they do like the probe thing where it's like they like both of them live like a whole like life or something like that, And then I know it's already been done, but you know what I mean? It's like something along some kind of shenanigan that excuses the fact that they get into a relationship and they kind of test the waters with this. But do I just want them to be in a relationship? No, not at all. I do not.
I wish the writers would just get it out of their system and do one of those things like you were just describing. Those could be good episodes, and finally just get that thing over and done with.
Yeah, but then they perseverate on it for like 8 episodes, and it'd be awkward, and then they'd have to have some arc where they're like, "Oh no, we're okay with one another. It's okay. It was okay that we did this because we weren't in it." But it's just like, and then everything's okay again, and I can't do it. Like I just don't want to do it.
The best case scenario would just be just dropping it and never doing anything with it. But they've written it. They've put too much into it, foreshadowing it, to now not do anything with that.
You know what I want? I want Ransom and Blumler to sleep together. I think that those two got some chemistry. Remember, even at the end, he said, "I like that lieutenant."
I never really looked at that as sexual. Look, I think the sexual tension is definitely between Mariner and Freeman, Mariner and Ransom. You can feel it. It's been going on between them for seasons. Yeah, so it is going to pay off with them shagging, without a doubt. You know what I mean?
I hope it never does.
Hopefully they handle it well when it inevitably does happen, because I think he's right. They've put too much work into foreshadowing it to not do anything with it.
Listen, there's been a lot of women that I've foreshadowed wanting to sleep with, and it never turns out. So that's just real life.
Yeah, but this is we're talking about two beautiful people here, so I think there's a better chance of them shagging each other, and they're all contained on the ship and stuff like that. So. Yeah.
So
leave your comment below. Do you want Mariner and Ransom to bang?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, for sure.
We've worn out where we stand on this when it comes up at least every few weeks for some reason.
But by the way, funeral friend sorry, I just have to quickly post this just for him. I can't let that one slide. So as long as they don't vote Democrat, I don't mind. Just quickly check on this, my son. All right, and that should do it. But this fucking guy gave all of Biden's policies, and the fucking MAGA hat motherfucker was stumped. Anyway, I like the very short treks over Lower Decks. It's the same humor, short, sweet, not canon. I need to start getting into that. Where is that? But I couldn't find it on Paramount Plus. How do I find these short treks?
Probably on the website.
Yeah, Daniel's been posting them at the beginning of all of our streams. He's been posting the links to them. The ones that he sends me are on
I thought
YouTube.
that was porn. Okay.
Zam, not every link on the internet is porn, bro.
It's Trek porn.
Yeah. Sorry. What's the chance if Vorik shows up and bangs to Lynn?
How many?
It's so funny.
Listen, by the way, that brings up
I'm trying to do the math on when Voyager came back. It's been...
No, but here's the thing, guys. We did not see T'Lyn, I don't think, at all in this episode, did we?
We didn't. It's the first episode this season without her. It felt more old school for it.
Well,
no cousin Oliver.
I don't need to see her every episode. I mean, like, I don't need her to be a part of the plot every episode. Like, I'm glad she wasn't in the plot this episode.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, not even to see her like in the corridor, or even them just walking by and saying, "Hey," like, I mean,
I mentioned earlier that Orion women are hot, Vulcan women are hot as well.
Mm,
So
Withholding Ice Queen thing, if you're into that.
if you're into that.
well, I come across more hot Vulcan women than not. So
Yes, I'm sure, Zam, you've met plenty of Vulcan women in your time.
yes,
Um, but speaking of Orion women, we have what was probably the main focus of this episode, and that was Tindy and Rutherford pretending to be married to exploit a discount.
Honestly, I felt like.
So
Oh, go ahead.
sitcom-y. It was so just standard sitcom, and I really appreciated and enjoyed that. It felt you could easily see that being an episode of Three's Company.
I
I like I like. Sorry, go on.
I was just say all I wanted to say was the only thing I had an issue with this is that I feel like they brought in the awkwardness a little too early. I feel like they should have gotten that awkwardness at like one after they got to the room, like when they were in line to check in and they got that
Yeah, I agree.
awkwardness. I think that was a little too early. I feel like they should have still been playing it up while they got up to the desk, and then when they changed into the clothes, I think that's when they should have started that little awkward angle that they were going.
I think when they had to consummate their relationship, I think that's when the awkwardness should have started to a degree.
But that's
Oh,
a bit
shit,
late
this is
in that
getting-
whole arc. I
No,
think.
Yeah.
this is getting real now. Like before, they're so innocent that they're still playing it up, but but now like we have to actually shag. Whoa!
I mean, you can come on. Tindy can fake it. She's a woman.
Okay,
So
but
I-
yeah, so
And they're not watching,
yeah.
so
no, but they still like.
I've heard about it.
But I think even if they only have to make the sounds, that would have been interesting. Also, the fact that when that couple were sent to the sulfur mines for the rest of their lives, that would have been an interesting way of them maybe thinking, oh shit, this is getting a bit dangerous now. How do I really feel about this person? Yada yada yada. Because because they know they're faking it, and so maybe in that way that would have added the awkwardness to it, knowing that people can get arrested for faking it. So
Yeah, they could have brought up the idea of some sort of consequence or like stake to it earlier. Like the pacing could have been done a little better with that aspect. I think they were trying to establish early on that they started to do a thing where the kids were realizing that they did like each other.
yeah, and that's
And
what
I'm glad that
scares
they
me.
like
Yeah.
veered away from it at the end, but it almost felt like at points that we were being treated like a focus group. And they're like, does the audience want this? And
yeah.
the
Just
cat's
to like
got
to
his
prove their
paw in my
relationship,
hair.
wasn't it? Yeah.
I agree.
So now he's on my notes.
All right, well, while you're doing that, hold on. Okay, Zam, there you go. There's your short trek link. So actually, it's on Star Trek official.
All
Dana
right.
says
So
the year in 2 seconds clips taken out of context reel is going to be awesome this year. The year in 2 seconds. What is that? Is that something I missed?
I subscribe to them.
Okay, Mr. System just looked it up. Vorik went through the Ponfar in the 3rd season of Voyager. So what year was that?
That's the one when him and Valana had a fight.
Yeah, it was the 3rd
Right.
season. It was right before they got to the Borg, I think.
Okay.
Anyway, Dixie is here. He says, "See, aliens are real. You are right. Vulcans are real. So are Ferengi, and so are alien butt plugs." Dana Vance says, "Hi." Show proves it. That's right. Everything that happens in Star Trek is real and canon to real life. And he said, "The porn what? The porn, the Star Trek porn."
See, I don't have any of that. I've read some spicy fanfics before.
Mr. System says 2375. I think 7 years later is 2382. I think
Yeah,
this
you're right.
is in 23 2385, maybe. It's been 4.
Yeah.
I don't remember the timeline.
The 2371 is when Voyager gets pulled in. So if season 3 of Voyager would be in 2374, so 2381. 2381 would be when Vorik would have his
Oh, the
next.
series is set in 2380.
Oh,
This
is
one
it?
is. So Vorik would have
One year,
Ponfar next year. Oh, Vorik could have his Ponfar next year. They could totally bring him in.
Let's just get things in perspective.
No, but I think wait.
The-
But I think we're in the 4th season. I think it started.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Let's get things in perspective. So the year is 2380. 1 year after Nemesis, with 4 years after that, so it will be 2384.
Yeah, 2384, 85 is what I was thinking that this season takes place.
Oh,
So yeah, Vork's
Yeah.
already Ponfar'd, but that
Darn.
doesn't mean he can't get his prescription of Ponfar Agra and come on. He can get it right there
From
with
him,
the.
Scott
How often do you pun far? By the way, like how often does that happen? That once
7
a year
years.
or 7 years?
A
Okay,
7-year itch.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, but Ponfar Agra helps him get it sooner. So, yeah, they could do that. It's right next to the Sluggo Cola kiosk.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding, but I love it. We're bogged down in the minutia.
Oh, come on. We're Trekkies. Come on, man. This is what we do.
This is what we fight the urge to like not get on the hog trail of doing every week.
See, we shouldn't do this in reviews.
I was like, I needed to know this time. I'm usually sitting here when we're looking stuff up like, oh my God, we're going to lose the audience. I needed to know this. Like, I don't know why I needed to know this, but I did. There was one final joke that I thought about the Rutherford and Tindy plot runner that was good was they used Dr. Miglimo again this week. They must have they must have had Paul F. Tompkins in. They decided to bring him in for like one day of recording, so they wrote a couple of scenes with him. I didn't expect you to like it, Cheeto.
Yeah, I do not like him. I do not like him at all. The joke though of him throwing it, you don't have to throw up twice in my mouth. That was funny. I'll give it to him. That was funny.
The regurgitation jokes are good.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's happening a bit too often, but I actually thought the bailout of Tindy and Rutherford's sham wedding and them falling in love with Bird Boy.
I thought that was
fucking stupid. I thought that was fucking stupid.
I thought that was terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, look, when I'm on dating sites, I got to deal with people, wanting thirds, but no, I don't want no Miglimo third. A couple comments. Gemini says, I love Ferengi, my favorite alien race. Keep in mind, their women are not always naked anymore, especially in this one. Daniel Van says, this is the nerdiest conversation I've ever heard on this site. I love it. What? This is not the nerdiest conversation we've ever had. Come on. Breaking out the math. It just got real. That is correct, because we are math enthusiasts here. We're mathletes.
Cheeto loves his spreadsheets. We use them all the time for the Final Fantasy stuff.
I love spreadsheets. Battlestar Galactica, greater than Star Trek. You ban him. Ban him now.
I thought you would have been. I thought you'd have been on the fence on that at least, Cheeto.
No, I don't like Battlestar Galactica.
See, I thought Gemini was cool.
Oh, no, Babylon 5. That's it. Sorry, my bad.
Babylon 5 is the one. And keep in mind, I still think Trek is better than Babylon 5. I'm not like Ginger, who is completely blinded to the fact. I like Babylon 5 a lot, but I don't think it's better than Trek. Anyway.
Battlestar Galactica, by the way. Battlestar Galactica in the 70s, which was a Star Wars ripoff, it was far better than the reboot they created, which I didn't give a fuck about. So, yeah.
All right, and then...
and Bendover likes to do spreadsheets as well. Yeah, well, you have the ideal person to compliment you in Cousin Cheeto or Lieutenant Cheeto.
Dude, I will spread it so good. You would all that data inserted.
Got the slot just ready to accept the data.
That's right. There's so much data going in that spreadsheet. Oh, baby. Anyway.
I must be I'm the only one who likes Miglamo. I like how oblivious he is and how he's so easy to pull the wool over his eyes. Just I don't know. I just like Paul F. Tompkins' voice. So any character that voice is coming out of, I'm usually going to laugh at. Um, so just fair number of jokes and references, like kind of running gags. This like it seems like everybody on any Ferengi ship ever is there because of a favor from a cousin.
Right.
It had the Genesis device, the reference to Moab 4 from the Masterpiece Society. What do you guys think what all liquors in the Dagger of the Mind?
Wait,
What?
what?
One of the
What?
drinks that Mariner ordered in the bar was a Dagger of the Mind, which is an old
All I know
TOS
is that
episode.
she wanted loads of drinks, and she managed to even sneak in a drink which wasn't even on her tab, and she did that on the Ferengi planet. So that's all I give a fuck about. But she seems to want to drink quite a lot. Maybe she has an issue with alcohol that needs to be checked. But it's just Mariner wanting to get wrecked, isn't it? And having a party and a good time. Which she seems to be in areas that does that quite a lot, but she's not doing enough of the partying. So yeah.
Were there any like references or running gags, like jokes, nods to the past that you guys found particularly amusing this week?
I want to know what class ship that was in orbit with the Cerritos.
The Toronto? That was a smexy ship.
Okay.
Oh, you didn't like it?
No, I just didn't know. I didn't have a chance to look
It
it
all
up.
looks the fucking same, isn't it?
It's
They
like a
look
big
much different.
beefy version of the California class.
It looks it
Pacific.
looked the same.
Yeah, but it's like a beefy version of it. It's like the Scooty Puff Senior to the Cerritos
Yeah,
Scooty
fair
Puff
enough.
Junior. Sam, were
And
there any of the gags or references that you particularly enjoyed this week? While Cheeto does his research.
I'm not doing research. I was answering my dad. He texted me. Anyway, go ahead.
It was more to do with sometimes the gags are more to do with the cultural differences between the Federation and the Ferengi and the matchup and the one-upmanship regarding the dealings and stuff like that. And just a quick reminder, because I haven't seen Ferengis in ages when it comes to Star Trek, even in New Trek. I mean, we're obviously not going to really see them in Strange New Worlds, and we've hardly seen them in Discovery. So just to remind you of what Ferengis are all about with the backstabbing and stuff like that. I mean, those are the sort of things, when it came to humor that I appreciated. There was no real sort of jokey moment. It was just the cultural aspects that made things funny. Yeah.
I do love the fact that we are catching up with the Ferengis. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is kind of what I wanted from Discovery. Season 3 and 4 is catching up with these races that we haven't seen since the end of after DS9, Voyager, Nemesis. We're catching up with these races. I mean, I'm glad we did it, but at the same time, it's all framed in comedy, so I liked it.
Like for instance, they gave the admiral a golden bust, and then they gave him an invoice to pay for the bust. And all of that, and yeah, exactly. So things like that. I appreciate the humor in that particular sense.
No,
felt a bit at the time. It felt a bit out of touch for someone like Rom, and Lita. Is it Lita?
Yeah, Lita.
Yeah, and it felt a bit out of place for them, considering who they are, what they've evolved to during the course of DS9. But regardless, I thought that was funny. Nevertheless, that's the sort of joke that I think sticks out to me the most.
No, the writers seem to really get Ferengi, and I think they did the Ferengi jokes really well. So
in a way, they kind of rein things in, because they could have really been bad.
Oh yeah, they could have been turned to 11.
Yeah,
but it was tasteful.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, but I also think that Ferengi have changed since Rom has taken over as Grand Nagus as well.
Mhm.
I know they still have those Ferengi nuances, but it's not. I don't feel like it's as, even in the beginning of the episode they were saying how it's not as cutthroat. They don't do
Mhm.
weapons deals anymore, like stuff like. So it's definitely a different Ferengi civilization and society. But at the same time, I still think there's some of that old Ferengi, you know, mentality in there, and I think
Yeah,
that's good.
things wouldn't change overnight.
Oh no, absolutely not.
So
Yep, I agree.
we have the poll up in the chat.
It is.
Excellent. All right, so we will do final thoughts and marks. Let's start at the bottom and work our ways counterclockwise. We'll start with you, Zam.
We always start with our bottom.
7 out of 10. I thought it was it was a good episode of Lower Decks. Never fails to amuse me. Upset that I gave the Admiral too much credit. Like, he shouldn't be that fucking stupid, in my opinion. But that's how Star Trek likes to make their admirals. So fair enough. 7 out of 10.
All right, fair enough. Lieutenant Junior Grade Cheeto.
Oh, I think I'm going to give this an 8. I think
Right.
I the only real marks in this episode that I can take away from it is the Admiral was stupid, and he was blatantly stupid. And 2, yeah, the Mariner stuff is kind of getting beaten to death. Everything else about this episode was great Lower Decks shenanigans, and that's what I want is Lower Deck shenanigans and DS9 references all over the place. So I love that stuff. Baseball. So yeah, I'll give it an 8. It may be a generous 8, but I'll give it an 8.
That's about where I'm at too. It was a Lower Decks episode. It juggled having 4 plot runners very well. The Boimler one was just small enough and just peppered in sporadically enough to give the rest of the plot runners room to breathe. So I enjoyed it. It held up on the second watch, so I'm going to give it an 8.
A good comment here for the Ferengi applied to the Federation 60 seconds of the actual plot watching in one sitting. I mean, the Admiral was adamant that they'll sign up immediately, but that wasn't the case. But they would have signed up immediately if they just dealt with some of the Ferengi shenanigans a lot earlier on.
And I think,
And
I was just to say, I don't think they ever intended to join the Federation. They were willing to fill out the application, and they wanted to get the benefits from the application, because that's why they were negotiating. I don't know if it was even that was a matter of the preliminary membership. It wasn't even like the actual membership, I don't think, because remember, they were just filling out the application.
Yeah, it's the preliminary part of the process, but getting the ball rolling. So that's been our review of Lower Decks Season 4, Episode 6. I want to thank everybody who showed up, anybody who participated in chat. If you've enjoyed this review, or if you watch it later on the VOD and enjoy it, make sure to give it the old thumbs up like. Maybe consider subscribing to NerdTube. We're the best channel that you've maybe kind of sort of heard of. We do more than just sci-fi here. We talk about not just Trek sci-fi, we do Star Wars. We have
check out my trailer reaction of Silent Night, the latest Christmas movie, in the same vein as Death Wish and various other films of that sort of caliber. Check it out.
Nice. We do all sorts of pop culture media reviews here. DCU, MCU. We're gonna be finding a slot for Loki reviews coming up soon. We also talk some current events and politics here, though. Every Friday night, we get together and discuss kind of what's going down over the week with everybody in chat. We call it the World's Gone Insane, Let's Talk About It podcast. Kind of what's on the docket for that tomorrow evening, Zam?
Definitely going to be talking about the Trump trials. That's for sure, and certain things that happen within British media and politics as well, regarding a couple of people fired for saying some terrible things on news channels and being called out for it. Obviously, the various stuff that's happened during the course of the week that people can also bring up to us if they feel that we haven't mentioned it ourselves. But yes, the last 7 days for sure is going to be talked about tomorrow.
And that's at 5:30 Eastern time.
5.
5
o'clock.
5 p.m. Eastern time, 10 p.m. UK time. So Xanta will be joining us on the 1st of December up to the 24th of December. That's his time.
That's like 2 months away.
Thank you for letting Spooky Season and Thanksgiving be their own thing here on NerdTube Zam. I really appreciate that. I am unreasonably perturbed by Thanksgiving getting erased. Like, that bothers me. Let's be grateful and not as consumeristic.
And considering most of my friends are Satan worshipping atheists, we tend to enjoy Halloween quite a lot.
Hail Santa!
Yeah. Hi, Macklemore. Was that right here? Macklemore Farmer. Welcome to the stream. Of course, near the end, unfortunately. But yeah, I get that, Danielle. That's what Gemini says. All right. BG3, is that what BG3 Rocks? Is he talking about? I can't get into that. I'm glad people like that, but it's not for me.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you thought there was too much plot in Final Fantasy 16, so I can't see you doing a D&D based RPG.
By the way, I just want to say that.
By the way, I got a comment here on Rumble. Star Jim Caviezel, or Jesus as America remembers him, just leaked an intimate video of Barack and Michelle Obama with a child. This is going to there's a link there. Do not click on that link, anyone. I wouldn't recommend it. So yeah, people spamming us all types of stuff on all types of media platforms. So yeah.
Also, just gonna say on the poll, it's normally the poll's right around where we're at, but it's like the poll right now. This episode got a 10 out of 10 out of 9 votes. Got a 10 out of 10. Like, are you guys actually voting? Or are you guys just hitting 10 just to be like 56% of people?
Everybody here is a mirror account. It's a sock account of Boone.
Oh, it's all Boone.
It's all Boone sock accounts in the voting.
Oh boy. Daniel Van says, so what special host will be joining us for Thanksgiving, Rage? You have been challenged.
I've got to come up with something. I'm not down with colonialism, so I'm not gonna do any sort of Puritan Miles Standish thing. I can't do a pilgrim hat.
The pilgrim hat. Come on, man. I think that'd be hilarious.
People would just call me a freaking Quaker.
I mean,
yeah,
I would get Amish jokes. It would just be
mate. There's various things you could easily do, man. You could be fucking Colonel Sanders if you wanted to. Yeah, I mean, so. Yeah. Quick question, Mr. System has. What about Vorik's brother on TNG Lower Decks episode? Vorik's brother?
I'm not remembering that.
Neither am I. Is that one of the lower deckers? Like, was
on
Vorik's
the TNG
one of the lower
Decks
deckers
episodes
from Enterprise or from TNG?
Man, I had to see. I thought Daniel Vance knew everything. And like coming up with stuff like this, like Jesus.
I feel so out of my depth sometimes, and I take my Trek pretty seriously, but the level of knowledge that some of these viewers have just really humbles me. But thanks again to everybody who joined us. Thank you, Cheeto. Thank you, Zam, for joining me. It would not be a Trek episode review here on NerdTube without you guys, and I appreciate your ideas and your thoughts and opinions every week.
Yeah. Subscribe, motherfuckers. By the way, this new guy, the farmer, subscribe to us, man. We're the greatest YouTube channel you never heard of, mate. You'll love us. I promise you.
Said
it. Or your money back.
Said it better than I could. So with that being said, live long and prosper.
Adios.